Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to my new video. Today I'm going to be talking about which Need for Speed games are still worth playing in 2026. Now, just to let you know, in this video I'm going to be specifically talking about the modern Need for Speed games, going from Need for Speed Rivals to Need for Speed Unbound, which is the latest release in the series. And we're going to be talking about only the latest series is because it's more modern and more easier to play. And if you want me, and we're not going to be focusing on the retro games because there are some outdated in some ways, but if you want me to do that video, let me know down in the comments down below. And keep in mind, I'm playing most of these games on Xbox and PC, so there might be some differences throughout platforms, but they're all similar. But as always, we're going to get started. Alright, started with Need for Speed Rivals. This game is still very fun in 2026, but this game has also changed a ton since last year in a lot of ways. And the biggest thing that happened to this game was this game's servers were actually shut down in 2025. So if you want to play online, the servers have been unfortunately shut down and they're not playable anymore, which really sucks. But that is how this game works, and the good thing is you could still play this game offline, and it pretty much works really well. And there are bots around the map, so you could still perfectly play this game fine, except that you cannot connect to the servers and race with other people. But if you're playing this game, it is still a lot of fun. And the good thing is, if you want to play this game, you're in luck, because this game you could still buy it on Xbox, on Steam Store, and I also think PlayStation, and pretty much all platforms you could still buy this game, which is actually a very good thing. But if you want to play this game, I'd say it's a very good one, because it's the last like unique type Need for Speed game, because you could also play as cops, and there's like more unique things to it compared to the most recent Need for Speed games. So this game overall is still worth playing in 2026. Now moving on to Need for Speed 2015. Now this game, in my opinion, it's kind of a mixed bag, because in some ways this game is still very fun, but in other ways this game kind of feels outdated and kind of not that good in 2026. Now, the weirdest thing about this game is that if you want to play this game, even today, you still have to have an internet connection just to even play the game. And it's not just the online, the base game. And even if you have an Xbox Live or a PlayStation Plus or an online subscription, you have to play online, which is so dumb. And you cannot play offline. And the only way you could play offline is if you don't have a Xbox Live Gold membership or a PlayStation Plus membership, and that is the only way you could play this game without players, which is what I mostly did. But it does kind of suck in that regard, because it also logs you off every few minutes, which is kind of dumb. But once you actually get the game, it's actually still a pretty fun game. The story is interesting, the races are pretty interesting, and this game is overall interesting. But the biggest problem with that also is that you, in your garage, you could only have 5 cars, and you could only store also 5 cars. So in total, you can only have 10 cars, and I don't know why they decided to do this. And this was the only Need for Speed game that harsh and limited you what kind of cars you could have, which is kind of stupid. But that is how this game worked, and a lot of the things, thankfully, were only in this game and not brought back into other Need for Speed games. And the campaign, it kind of feels okay. It's still fun, but if you're talking about the multiplayer, it is horrendous, because if you want to play with other players, it would be impossible, because this how this game is set up. But overall, if you're a game collector or you're like a big Need for Speed game, you've never played this game before, it's still fun. But if you don't really care about that, I wouldn't actually really recommend this game for that reason. So it depends. Now moving on to the next Need for Speed game, which is Need for Speed Payback. Now, to be honest, this game is actually still kind of underrated in my opinion. I know it got a lot of hate, but this is actually one of the better Need for Speed games out there, and for a good reason, because this Need for Speed game is actually still a lot of fun today, especially in some regards, like the story mode and even the multiplayer is kind of fun. But I like this game particularly for the story mode because a lot of the missions in this game take place and it's all like traditional Need for Speed slash Fast and Furious type style gameplay, and a lot of the things in this game, and especially like the missions, are actually really fun in this game and are very unique compared to other Need for Speed games in that regard. And it's still a very fun game, especially for the campaign. It's like one of the best ones to play personally. As for the online, it's still active. I managed to find a few lobbies in terms of the free roam, at least on Xbox, and you could still find lobbies, but if you try to play ranked, um, and I tested this on Xbox, but I tested and it was pretty much dead. Even though I heard that it's also dead on PlayStation and I think PC. And what sucks about this game though is that it's not crossplay, so you can only play with players who are on your platform, which kind of sucks. But in generally speaking, it's still a really fun game because the multiplayer is kind of decent and it's not the best in today's regard. But if you play for the story mode, it's a lot of fun, and overall it is a lot less harsh and it's a lot more better compared to 2015 in regard. But the only thing that kind of sucks about it is that, like, the way you upgrade your car, because you don't just buy engine swaps or upgrades, you have to buy cards. And this was very controversial because it was like gambling kind of, but and you could use this for game money, but even then it's kind of annoying and it kind of sucks because the upgrade session system in this game was absolute garbage, but that is how it worked, unfortunately. And visual upgrades are not that great either, so if you want that, it's not the game for you. But in generally speaking, this game, it's just still very fun game. It's still very fun Need for Speed and racing game overall. So if you're one of those people want to try this game out, I'd absolutely recommend it in 2026. So for Need for Speed Heat, this game is probably one of the best modern Need for Speed games you could still play in 2026. Now, there are a lot of reasons why this game good. This game is still very fun to play, even today. Now, the biggest reason is also the campaign, because this game was never really made for the online multiplayer because for a few reasons, but this was mainly made for the campaign. And this game has a very fun campaign because you have a lot of story missions, you have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of races, and this game is probably one of the best Need for Speeds we got in quite a while, because this game is also very interesting in terms of the progression, how this game works, because you have day and night life cycle, and you have different objectives you have to do, because during the day you just get cash and during the night you have to get game level or rep, and as they call in this game. So that is one thing that is I found to be very unique in this game, and actually a very good system that not other Need for Speed game does that. But it's still overall a very fun Need for Speed game for more than that, because the customization and the visual upgrades in this game are absolutely amazing and probably one of the best upgrade systems in the entire Need for Speed franchise, because it is that good and it works for pretty much all cars, which is now you usually see, because in other games they'll only make it for certain models or certain country cars, which kind of sucks. But this game you could basically use it for anything. But another thing that kind of sucks about this game is the online. You have to have friends to play it, like a club, which really sucks. So if you don't have anything like me, then you're out of luck for the online. But I think it is fun. But overall, if you want to play this game, it's still a very fun game. Now moving on to the next Need for Speed game. But like, what are you talking about this game? Well, it's the remastered versions. It's like the remade version. But this is another one of the best Need for Speed games you could still play online in the campaign overall in 2026, because this game still looks very amazing. And one thing I like about this game is that it is playable across all platforms. You could play on last gen, new gen, PC, and Switch, which is absolutely amazing. and it is playable overall very well because it has a very good campaign that is worth playing. And another aspect about this game that is very good is it has a very good online multiplayer that is so much fun to play, and you won't get this game anywhere else because this was another one of those unique Need for Speed games that you don't usually get in today's standards. But I'd say it's one of the best Need for Speed games for a lot of reasons because this game is crossplay. This game runs on new gen. It runs on 60 FPS, which is not usually see, but it is a very fun game overall if you're talking about this franchise. So if you're a Need for Speed game that's a fan of like old games, this is a must go. And this game is absolutely worth playing in 2026. Now, moving on to the last Need for Speed game, which is Need for Speed Unbound. Now, this game is actually quite a fun one. Even though we haven't got a new Need for Speed game in quite a while, this is still a really fun Need for Speed game in terms of, especially for the online, because if you really like the online, this is like the perfect game for you. For a good reason, because in the multiplayer, you have a ton of stuff to do, you have a ton of races to choose on, you have a ton of series to choose from and a bunch of upgrades, and overall it's one of the best modern Need for Speed multiplayers you could possibly have. And also for the campaign, it is kind of interesting, and it is definitely a fun if you because it has a lot of unique missions in it, and no other Need for Speed game does that sometimes, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, what's really annoying is a lot of the characters, they could be very annoying and even cringe sometimes, which is, it also depends on what perspective you say. But overall, if you play the campaign, it's definitely a fun game in my opinion, but keep in mind that the progression is separate, and that is how this game works overall. But yeah, Need for Speed Unbound, it's still worth playing in 2026. Alright guys, that is gonna be pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about this game video in the comments down below. Should I do more videos like this? Let me know in the comments down below. But this was definitely an interesting video to make, and let me know if I should do other game series like Forza or other game franchises overall, which if you want me to do, just again let me know in the comments down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching. As always, peace out guys.